at us.
Aw.
Not only do we match each other, we match the tablecloth.
Well, you know, you're very Dorothy right now.
Am I?
Dorothy Gale from Kansas. Dorothy Gale, you get over here.
I just watched Judy the other day.
The one with Renee Zellweger?
It's fantastic.
You know, you remember from the old podcast that I love to, every time the name Judy Garland is mentioned, go, that
Yeah.
because she died on my 8th birthday.
Yeah.
And I find humor in the story, but some people...
They're like, oh.
Yeah, no, she didn't really ruin my birthday. I just happened to have a distinct memory
Of Judy Garland dying.
of my dad watching the news, or the family had come over for a birthday party, and for whatever reason, my dad wanted to turn on the news. I mean, he was a journalist.
Right.
Duh.
Weird.
Former journalist. So, and then Judy Garland died of an apparent drug overdose at age 59.
Did you watch that movie?
Yeah, it was great.
It's so sad.
Yeah,
Like,
but I knew she was going to
duh.
die.
Like, we all know what
Right.
her life was, but
I was familiar with the steps leading up to,
Yeah.
But I liked it, the movie.
it was really fantastic.
Yeah.
But thanks.
So yeah, now you've got on the Dorothy dress just in time for Halloween.
There's no place like home.
If you were in The Wizard of Oz, who would you play? I mean, right now, obviously you're Dorothy, but if you were anyone.
Scarecrow.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Are
you'd
you
be
kidding
good.
me?
You'd be
Ray
good.
Bolger? Right, that's who? No.
Bolger is how we used to
Bolger.
say it in the
Bolger.
olden days, back when he was alive.
And that's...
Not that you would know.
He was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you look at just his physicality...
Do you remember his non-Scarecrow name in the show? His other character?
Oh, I used to remember all of them. It was my favorite movie when I was a kid.
He was it Huck or Hunk?
I think it's Hunk.
Yeah. Because
Hunk.
now that I say it, they all went out of my head. I had them all, and they're all gone.
Yeah.
But he was Hunk or Hunk or something like that.
There's a part in that movie that I've made my kids watch over and over and over again.
Which is?
And I have actually, to the point, I have just made video on my phone of this one part. And it is, you know, when the Wicked Witch is on the roof and it's the three of them before they meet the Cowardly
Yeah,
Lion.
she's throwing fire
and she throws fire, right?
And the Scarecrow has the hat.
So she poofs away. And and he was like, make a mattress out of me. Bah, I'll show her. And then Tin Man goes, yeah, whatever. And he pokes himself in the head. And he goes, dunk. And he does a tape to his finger.
Ah.
And no one else reacts. It's just him. And he's just over there and he goes, dunk. And then he's right back in it. And you can tell it is not part of anything. Like, it was him just doing his vaudeville thing.
Oh, that's great.
And it's one of my favorites. It's my favorite. He goes, dunk.
I love it.
And he just comes right back in, and it's my favorite part of him.
Well, I recently, for my memoirs, was writing up the chapter about the time I directed and produced a live radio play.
And you mentioned you had Jere sing.
Yes,
Yeah.
Jere sang in the Optimistic Voices Choir. And the two lead DJs, Mark and Brian, wanted to play the Scarecrow and the Tin Man.
Yeah.
And Dwight Yoakam wanted to play the Cowardly Lion.
I love Dwight Yoakam.
He was the first one to sign up, because and when you listen back to it, you can't tell it's Dwight Yoakam.
Really?
No, he does the whole thing.
He's so great.
In a perfect imitation of Burt Lahr.
I would love to hear this. Who would you be?
I mean, probably the easy out is to say I would be Professor Marvel / Wizard.
Oh, he's so good.
Why?
Well, because he also played like 3 other roles.
Oh, who rang that bell?
Who rang that bell?
He had a lot of the old Frank Nelson.
Yep. Didn't you read the sign?
Yeah, so that would be my first go-to. He's the one I probably identify with the most. But Mark and Brian couldn't sing. They refused to sing if I only had a brain, if I only had a heart.
Well, you can't play those roles if you can't sing the song.
Right, but what am I going to do? I'm work for them. I'm producing and directing the show. And I came up with the idea of a stunt double.
A sung double.
Right. So we kept it from the audience, and I had it all arranged. So I had have I told you the story before?
No.
I had the stunt double sit in the front row of the auditorium. We were at the Museum of Television and Radio, which later was known as the Paley Center in Beverly Hills. So I've got my stunt double in the front row. We've got this huge cast of people. I've got Sheena Easton as Dorothy.
That's so great.
And Leah Thompson from Back to the Future wanted to play Dorothy, but
Leah
Sheena
Thompson.
Easton's people called back first.
All right.
So I went with her.
Too bad.
We had Dwight Yoakam as the Cowardly Lion. We had Mark and Brian as the Scarecrow and the Woodman. We had, for the Wicked Witch of the West, We had one of the actresses who played Gladys Kravitz on Bewitched.
Yes.
Her name was Sandra.
Mrs. Kravitz is my favorite character ever.
Sandra Gould.
Yeah.
So then there's a whole story about her that's I won't get into right now. And for the Wizard/Professor Marvel, I had Alan Young, who was Wilbur on Mr. Ed, but he also was Scrooge McDuck and any number of other famous cartoon voices.
Yeah.
So that leaves, now I don't have an Auntie M/Glinda, because what you do is you double.
Right.
If you play Professor Marvel, you play the Wizard. If you play Miss Gulch, you play...
I have to acknowledge something big is happening right now.
There are a lot of sirens.
There's a whole lot of sirens.
A lot of sirens. I wonder. I hope everyone's okay. You probably should pause and take a prayer for whomever is affected by it. But, so all of these people play two parts, obviously. That's the whole point. You know, she has a dream and the same people show up later. So usually, but for this particular version of it, I was going to double Auntie M and Glinda, which is not the way they did it in the movie. That's like the odd one out.
Right.
They're getting closer.
They're getting closer, and it's a lot.
I mean, everything's okay here,
We're
right?
not
You
on
don't
fire
notice
here,
anything.
right?
Now they're getting further.
But it's constant. There's more of them.
I put my phone in airplane mode.
Like, should I like
check the alerts?
Let's just see what's happening.
It's probably
nothing.
I mean, I hate to say it, it's probably a fire.
Yeah.
And somewhere, and these guys are responding.
Oh, anyway.
Or a bad wreck. That would be also terrible.
Yeah, let's not have that. Oh, I'm not even gonna.
All right.
I'm not even gonna fiddle with it.
So the last two stunt castings that I'll tell you then is for Annie M/Glinda. I couldn't find any more actresses. Like Leah Thompson didn't want to play those parts. She wanted to sing.
Okay.
So I ended up getting an actor named Peter Scolari, Peter Scolari. You know him because he came to fame in the show Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks.
Yes.
And then he was on Newhart.
Newhart's one of my favorite shows.
Not, the one in the Vermont Inn.
Right.
So he was like the married to the pretty blonde girl.
Yes.
That's Peter Scolari.
I like that.
Brilliant. So he did the whole thing as pretending to be a lady as...
That's fantastic.
And that was funny. All right, so finally we get to the point now they're in Oz. She's about to meet the Scarecrow. It's time for the big number, and Mark is playing the Scarecrow. Brian's playing the Scarecrow, and it's time for the song.
Conferring with the flowers.
So I'm directing, and I've got other cartoon actors. I've got Jess Harnell from Animaniacs doing voices. I got all these people.
Oh gosh, that's crazy.
So I cue my stunt double, who is sitting here in the front row, to please come up to the microphone and belt out the song. And it's Robert Goulet.
Holy moly. I can wallow where the hours confirm with a flower.
Oh, and he nailed it. He sang out.
With a rhyme.
And just... Oof.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, what was your other songs? Like, did he sing both?
He did both, because how many...
Right, how many...
What am I going to do, get Tony Bennett also?
I mean...
Mel Torme? I mean,
That'd be awesome. That's so cool. You have so many cool stories.
Well, we did so many of those. So many. That was the last one I did before I left to go try to be an on-air DJ at a failed station. But that was my big finale, if you will.
Yeah.
And another one that I had done before that, in time for Halloween, in fact, we're probably coming up on the anniversary of it, was the Friday before Halloween. We did a reenactment of the War of the Worlds.
I love that.
And the year after that, we did another show called The Witch's Tale, which is another horror radio show. But I recently found that someone had uploaded the audio of War of the Worlds to YouTube.
Whoa.
And I didn't know. I thought it was lost. Right. I mean, it's in the archives of the Museum of Television and Radio. But like, so I found one listener uploaded the audio from Wizard of Oz. So I know where that is.
That's awesome.
And another one put on YouTube the audio from War of the Worlds. I'll put the link in because it's Halloween. Why not?
And I think, actually, just as a shout-out, this week, Pillsbury State, my friend Charles Miller, who is a professor there and theater professor, they're doing a radio play.
I listened to some of it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yes. They did awesome. The Lone Ranger redo, and I want to go back. I didn't have time to go back and listen to the next one, but I want to hear that.
I love it. I'm obsessed with it, and if you want to cast me...
In a radio play?
In a radio play. I've always wanted to do it my whole life.
Well,
I'll do it.
It's fun. I was in one of the versions of A Christmas Carol. I played Fred. And Kevin Pollak was Scrooge.
Nice.
And Mark Hamill was the ghost of Jacob Marley in Christmas Future. So he was in a lot of our shows.
So I have to thank
well,
Tim
but-
Coleman, by the way,
Oh,
because
all right.
he's the one who inspired the entire topic that we're
Well,
talking
who
about.
knew?
He
The last
gave
thing
me
I'll
the
tell you
shirt.
though about War of the Worlds, if
Uh-huh.
you want to listen to it, is we had Paul Sorvino in the Orson Welles role,
Ooh.
and the one who stole the show as reporter Carl Phillips, who is the news reporter who gets burned alive by the Martian rays.
Right.
And boy, did he hit it out of the park. William Shatner.
Oh.
It's so good. He got it. We went to a commercial break as soon as he's dead. I timed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in charge.
That's
so I
so
scheduled
cool.
the commercial break right after Carl Phillips dies.
I mean, you're gonna need a break after
well,
that.
yeah, I wanted there to be a silence,
Right.
and then we went to break, and we came back, like, you know, and the audience gave him a standing ovation.
That's amazing.
Once the mics were off.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
So good. All right. Well, anyway, so he
You know
died.
what else is so good? Dying, death. You see where we're going here.
Halloween.
Bone Zones. Don't forget the S.com.
Yes, bonezones.com is where you get the official merchandise of the one and only Dr. Bill Bass. We got another Facebook message. You know, I run his Facebook page called
Right.
Dr. Bill Bass, forensic anthropologist. That's me, really.
Comma.
And I get messages, you know, oh, Dr. Bass, I just discovered your book, Death's Acre,
Ooh, yeah.
which is hard to find because it's the first one they did, and sometimes it's out of print, but bonezones.com has them, and they have them autographed.
That's awesome.
And it's the origin story of the body farm. It kind of takes you through
Right.
why Dr. Bass needed to create this research facility. And that's another great nonfiction one, Beyond the Body Farm, so you can get those at the Bone Zones store.
I was actually talking to the boyfriend about your affiliation with Dr. Bass and Bone Zones, and he was asking how they ended up becoming a sponsor. And turns out his mom worked with Dr. Bass at one point.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, he is legendary in this area. I think when Metropulse, he still used to be a paper, they were trying to decide who arguably is the most famous person in East Tennessee.
It's not Johnny Knoxville.
And they had narrowed it down. Oh, the birds. They had narrowed it down. Look at the bird. He's going to go in that hole.
Oh, hi, bird.
Anyway, I've got to get the handyman to come out and fill that in. Sorry. Metropulse had narrowed it down to, I think, Pat Summitt and Dr. Bass
Oh, that's a tough
as
one.
probably the arguably two most famous people worldwide because,
The impact that they have had.
yeah, because if you get into it, you may think, well, Dr. Bass locally, Pat Summitt would be more well known, but nationally or worldwide,
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
yeah.
Bonezones.com. Don't forget the S. All the things.
All right, so I cut you off when you were talking about Tim Coleman.
Oh no,
and
that's
this
fine.
fine
Tim
shirt.
Coleman, whom I work with at Sweet Fanny Adams
SFA.
Theater, he is working Oktoberfest up at Obergatlinburg, and every year he orders like his Lederhosen and all of this, and this was an extra shirt he had, and I was talking about how much I loved it. So, thanks.
Nice.
Thank
It's a good thing Tim's skinny.
This is an extra large, but
It is?
yeah. I mean, I could wear it as a dress, or I could do that.
Lampshading?
I could lampshade it, or I could risky business it.
Oh, that's with that's Tom Cruise with
Right.
the underpants.
It's called Porky Pigging it.
Porky Pigging it?
Yeah.
Where do you get this?
Porky
Urban
Pig?
Dictionary?
Actually, Saturday Night Live, Kate McKinnon. Have you ever seen the episode where they're talking about being abducted by aliens with Ryan Reynolds? I think.
Well, yeah, I've seen, that's a recurring skit.
Well, at one point she said that they abducted her and all she was wearing was a shirt and her underpants. Porky Pigging it. So, Porky Pigging it is referring to when you're just wearing like a dress shirt,
Yeah.
or a t-shirt and just your underpants.
I'm pretty sure, though, Porky Pig is one of the pantsless cartoon
He
characters. Winnie the Pooh, Donald Duck, Porky Pig, no pants.
No pants.
Right?
And so if you're wearing a shirt and no pants, it's Porky Pigging it.
Why not Winnie the Pooh in it?
Because
Never mind, I just answered my own question. Donald Duck in it?
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I guess Porky Pig in it is a little...
Porky Pigging it.
If those are your three choices,
Yeah.
that probably is the
same.
the best
Why
of the
not
three.
Winnie the Pooh in it?
I didn't mean for it to be funny. I mean, I was committed to saying it, and as the words are coming out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, yeah.
I do that all the time.
Well, that's what they teach us in improv, is you take the filter off,
Oh, well,
and you just go
yeah.
and worry about what happens later.
How How long have you and Jerry been married?
Oh my gosh, 35 years and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like what?
Like when you first started dating.
Yeah.
You know you have that like excitement period, right? And then
I was not that exciting.
I'm just saying like where you're like Twitter pated and you're
Okay.
Did you have that?
Well, see, my friend Bruce asked her out first, and I was irritated.
Okay. Well, I mean, it worked out well for you, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did have.
Curse Bruce's.
Bruce lives in Vegas, and what I had going for me is that he was not a great, boyfriend. You know, he was kind of like the same. He had the same date that he would take all the girls on. The same.
Okay, yeah.
He had it all planned out.
Yeah.
You know, he had the champagne on ice in the trunk of the car.
Oh wow.
So that when they stopped to sit by the Potomac River, he would happen to have it ready to go. You know, it was all planned. Go to dinner at the Revolving Restaurant on top of the Key Bridge Marriott. Go to the comedy club in D.C. Go back to the Marriott, sit on the grass, looking over the Potomac River, and then he'd have the champagne on ice. It was
That's
a routine.
A lot. Okay.
So when I told my wife this, and it was predicting each step of the date, it freaked her out.
Okay, so he asked her out.
Yeah.
You told her this is what he's gonna do.
Later. I think at some point she was trying to tell me what this.
So how did it work out for you?
Me?
Well, he asked her out first.
Oh, then time went by. We encountered each other at a couple of different parties. You know, I had a birthday party, and she came to it with Bruce, I guess, or maybe that's when he asked her out. There were a couple other social gatherings.
You didn't have your like little we're dating.
Oh, I hope she doesn't watch this one.
She's gonna.
No, sometimes she skips. I get. Well, are you talking? So something you're leading up to something.
Well, no, I'm asking.
I can't
like
remember.
when you go from the phase of newly dating to you start kind of discovering each other, and you start getting to the meat.
All right.
You know, where you start like going, okay, well, it's not the veneer washes off, but it's you become more comfortable and you start sharing and becoming more vulnerable and sharing with each other.
All right.
Did you, because you guys have been together for a really long time.
Yes.
When you start kind of figuring each other out, and inevitably when you're together, like you're going to annoy her, she's going to annoy you.
Oh, constantly. I annoy her constantly.
But where you have, like, you don't even have to speak it anymore. Like, you know, you've been together long enough to where you know in this situation Jerry's going to react this way, and she knows in this situation.
I don't know. I think that's the problem. Is if that were the case, I can at this point kind of prevent that and go, all right, I know she doesn't like the scent of the garbage bags that I bought.
Right.
So she's not going to put a new garbage bag liner in the garbage can under any circumstances until we run out of these 500 garbage bags. And
all right.
So I know that it's not going to happen. So I don't make it. So I just go ahead and put in the garbage liner.
So this is what I would like for you to imagine.
So, but my point is, I still get taken by surprise. I still do things that irritate her, and I get blindsided.
You're like, God dang it.
Because I didn't know.
I thought I had it figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But imagine having to learn all of that, like, at 40.
And a half?
And a half.
Oh, because you've had your midlife change.
We had some midlife change, and so I never...
A change of life? Is that what we call it?
I don't know.
I don't think that's something else.
I don't believe in the whole over the hill thing at 40 now, because like your life expectancy isn't 80. You can't over the hill it.
What's life expectancy then?
It's more than that.
Well, it's in mid-80s.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, but no, so like when you're doing it at a later date, I never really dated. This is the first time I've dated in my whole life. I just went like into a very intense long-term relationship.
So I think that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
We just kind of, I don't remember we just got right in.
Like you just right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to me that you guys like there's still little surprises. There's happy ones, good ones too, right?
This is like, I don't know. I could tell you stories about radio all day. I can tell you stories.
You coexist together so well that it's not even a process. right? I'm loving this so much because he's just like,
Well, this morning she left to go to work, and she was very sweet. She knew that you were coming over, so she said, "I hope you have a good day," and I said, "Yeah, me too." and then I said, "I mean, I hope you have a good day."
why are you the worst? You are the worst.
I knew, but I
Yeah.
kind of knew.
Right.
I kind of knew what I was saying.
Well, she knows you know.
Yeah.
That she knows you know you know she
So
knows.
my
she
initial gut reaction was to say, "Yeah,
Me too.
I also hope I have a good day."
knows. I too hope that but like it's that acceptance and over acceptance of each other of just your existence, and you're so supportive of her and she's so supportive of you, and I think that that's like an attainable goal.
Okay.
Yeah, and I really like that.
Squad goals.
Squad goals, relationship or ship goals.
Ship goals.
Ship
All right. Well,
goals.
I'll take it as a compliment because I mean I don't think of myself as a particularly good husband. She says I am relative to other people who are out there, but I mean, you know.
You're a good husband to her,
Yeah.
and that's all you need to be.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's good.
33 years?
No, 35 and a half.
35 and a half.
Yeah.
But you've been together.
Like 36. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a while. Well, she's very sweet, and she's very sweet to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
She is. I'm still thinking about, I think was it Friday's episode last week when I'm like, what the hell is Jerry doing at home?
Oh, and you know what? I realized I never talked about the fact that I busted you out on your carb intake, and I could see in your eyes you were like, you, Judy Garland.
All right, let's save that for another show. It's the Krisha and Frank show.
Judy Garland.
The Krisha and Frank show. You can find us on YouTube and all your favorite podcast apps, including iHeartRadio.
Oh, yeah. And follow us on all the socials. And please like, subscribe, share.
Yeah, that's why Jerry likes you.
Why?
'Cause you're another set of eyes and ears.
Oh.
Yeah. Little rat me out.
Little tattletale. Inadvertent tattletale. I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, if you saw yesterday's episode, you know
Yeah.
that we had the honey bun.
The honey bun. And when we got back, I accidentally said that we had the honey bun.
You didn't accidentally say you had
Well,
the
no,
honey bun.
I mean,
you were
but
excited that we had the...
I intentionally said that we had the honey bun, but I accidentally ratted you out on your carb intake because I said, yeah, we had this honey bun, and she went, there goes your carb intake, and it was like, what have you done?
Most people get yelled at for their carbon footprint.
Yes, you carbon intake. Okay, get out of here.
Thanks. Oh, that's another one on tape.
Dang it.
Or, you know, I'm going to make that montage.